I'm speechless because basically it's been such a great day. You've all been so wonderful and said such kind things about my last video. And now I'm going to do a video on gadgets, which are my pretty much favouriteest things about steampunk that's not to do with writing. Now, my very first gadget that I'm going to show you is my ring. Now, it's actually a tiny little cannon. Isn't that adorable? You can't get, might be better if I take it off. You can't get much cuter than that, with its little moving parts, little chain, shoot you right through the heart sort of thing. So yes, that's the introduction to gadgets. Now, steampunk gadgets. When you're a steampunk cosplayer, the difference between historical recreation and being an actual steampunk cosplayer is pretty much the gadgets, such as this adorable little resin gun. It's one of my prized treasures. It actually doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my daughter, but I have it on sort of semi-permanent loan. Now, most steampunkers, even though we're pacifists, we really like our ray guns. And it's very easy for a beginner to make over a little, this is just a little plastic gun that's been given a bit of a dainty spray with some metallic paint, and now it looks like a steampunk ray gun. Nerf guns are very much the favourite for these sort of makeovers, but this is an actual little water gun. So, what kind of gadgets do you like when you're a steampunker? Well, the thing is, steampunkers like copper, brass, metallic things, such as this little beauty. I'm sorry if I get a little bit lost with what the light's doing there. It is a little sundial, but when you unscrew it, it is also a lovely, gorgeous compass, and it has how to use it on a sunny day to find your way. So it's all in copper or brass. I suspect it's brass, not copper, but it's one of my favourite toys. Present from a close family member. A lot of my gadgets are presents from close, excuse me while I cough, close family members who know I'm into steampunk and go out of their way to give me beautiful presents at Christmas and birthdays. A lot of the jewellery you see me wearing are presents from friends. My hats, of course, I've bought myself. Those goggles are just welding goggles from Bunnings with a bit of copper coloured metallic paint. Then there's my aviator goggles. Those sort of things are very easy to find and source yourself. Perfect example. These are welding goggles. You can also buy these at Bunnings. These have been given a makeover with some copper paint, some brass paint to make them look much more steampunky. So you can, for a fairly cheap and easy makeover, get yourself a pair of cheap goggles and make them over. These goggles are great because they've got the flip-ups, but even just a plain pair of goggles given a paint job automatically makes them steampunk. And you can use them, wear them around your neck, wear them around your hat, and you can wear multiple pairs. Because I'm a mother and I've got eyes in the back of my head, I need 2 sets of goggles. So yes. Now, you can go and buy ready-made beautiful gadgets. This is actually an opera glass, but I've never used it as an opera glass. I use it as my gadget. It's got all moving parts. It's got all those things that make them beautiful to a steampunker, and you can either carry that in your hand, or you can, if you're really clever or you've got friends who are really clever, get a leather pouch to wear it on a belt. Now, you can buy ready-made gadgets as well. This is, if you're a Doctor Who fan, River Song's beautiful, didn't need anything done to it to make it look steampunk. It's her sonic screwdriver, and it lights up, which, you know, there's also, you can change it over so that it's a red light. And, you know, it, apart from being Doctor Who and very close to my heart, is a really great gadget. I have something of a Doctor Who fan, so I also would argue that Doctor Who, being pretty much a steampunk story in itself, is anything you can get to do with Doctor Who, you can safely, you know, convert it to steampunk. Now, what else can you use as a gadget? Anything, really. This is a tea ball. You fill it with cogs, and it's a steampunk tea ball. But as tea and steampunk go together like bacon and eggs, chocolate and riders, a tea ball or any form of tea-related gadget is going to fit in with a steampunk theme. I've even dressed and cosplayed as a steampunk tea lady. What can you use? Now, these are things that I have picked up. They are little brass light fittings that go on fairy lights, and at some point they're going to be all stuck together. There's about 8 of them in a row to be part of a ray gun. Cowbell. Now, okay, that doesn't look terribly steampunk at the moment, but if you were to hang that off a ray gun, off your belt, it's metallic, it makes a noise. It's not the most clever of gadgets, but damn it, it's pretty. And that's what you're aiming for. And I mean, steampunk gadgets, you collect things to put them together to make them into gadgets. And I mean, that looks pretty boring at the moment, but it's amazing what some good beads, such as these little suckers, and a bit of imagination can do to make beautiful things. Wait one moment. This is a chatelaine. Now, a chatelaine was something that Victorian women wore because they didn't have pockets in their dresses. To, you know, we won't get into the whole why aren't there pockets in women's dresses debate. But as you can see, that is just a collection of interesting objects, such as a pair of scissors, a key, some beads, some little bottles. That is actually an old typewriter key. So you put that together. I wear that on a belt like that, and it is a chatelaine. And a chatelaine, boys can wear them as well, but it was usually considered a female item, which is the great thing about steampunk, is that men and women, you know, pretty much have an equal run at it. And it's not age specific, you know. I know I'm only young, but there's older people that also play the game. So buying or making your own gadgets. Now, that's a bought item. My ring's a bought item. I'm going to put that back on now. By the way, just so that for those who missed it this morning, this is my mosquito robot. Isn't it gorgeous? Another little gadget. I really do like gadgets. It's not a put on. So I'm going to scratch my nose. What should you do if you're into gadgets like me? Do you make them or you buy them? Well, I make some and I buy some. Upcycling, recycling is a really big part of the steampunk aesthetic. So I really do try to upcycle things such as my goggles. You might notice I've got little bits and pieces dangling off me everywhere. It's easy to make yourself look gadgety with a little bit of imagination and some research on the internet, because believe me, there are pictures everywhere and if you go onto Pinterest, they'll even tell you how to do it. You can't. Somebody's just asked if they'd like to see the earrings. Okay, these are a present from Carlisle, Flint Art. And they are danglies with cogs, and they do make a little noise as I shake my head, but not as much as the belt chains ones I was wearing this morning. Cogs are a big part of it. So something that's got a moving part like this is you know, fascinating, but not just fascinating, pretty much interesting. But it's hard unless you're really technically clever to make things like that. Of course, there are people who are really technically clever and can make things like that. So for those people, just bear in mind that anything that you make that moves shouldn't be considered too dangerous if you're going to be going to places like Supernova to show off your gear. You don't want to zap somebody by mistake or cover them in goo, though I must admit that would be tempting. And gadgets are just basically limited by your imagination. This is a paper envelope opener. It's, as you can see, very ornate. Now, that wouldn't be hard to convert over to something on a hat. So, and that would automatically make something look a bit more metallic and steampunk, even though it's a frog and a leaf. It's metallic, and you know, real life frogs aren't. My hat that I was wearing this morning, as you can see, studded, chained. My personal favourite part is the little skull-shaped pirate. It's a bead that I got from a bead shop. Bead shops are a great place to find shiny, pretty, gadgety things that will go together with other shiny, pretty, gadgety things to make gadgets. I'm in the process of planning a pair of steampunk wings, which I'm going to make out of a pair of open and close fans. They won't be terribly technical because I'm more of a writer than a technician, but by the same token, I'm going to give it a go. And that's the whole idea behind steampunk too. Give it a go. I mean, I can't sew, but I sew things. This was an 80s jacket that I took the sleeves off, did a bit of modification to turn it into a waistcoat, and then and I picked it because the fabric was absolutely amazing, and the Victorians really liked amazing fabric. You can make gadgets using wire. You can make gadgets using pieces from Bunnings. Bunnings is a really great place for getting copper pipe and pretty you can see I'm not a technician, pretty knobs for putting on your guns and stuff like that. Like a good doorknob actually works really well on a gun. Now, talking about see, I planned all this. This is again another cheap plastic gun that's been given a steampunk paint job, and as you can see, that looks pretty good. I mean, completely harmless. It's light, so that if you want to carry it all day, it's not going to hurt you. You make yourself a harness for the back, have it harnessed on the back. You probably wouldn't even notice it until you sit down and it pokes you. So it's that kind of thing that you're looking for. So go into toy shops and see what you can find. I mean, they don't have to be big, expensive toys. They can be nice, cheap. I think this, you know, plastic gun wouldn't be more than $20 at most, probably under $5. And just run with it. If it doesn't work, go back and play with it some more. I mean, you don't have to show anybody until they're ready to be seen. And the best part of it is there is so many different aesthetics that you can go for. Steampunk, diesel punk look, which is a little bit valve punk, where you're actually using valves and lights. That's a little bit further along from steam, but the electricity and electric lights and that were all from the Victorian era, so you can quite use them without, you know, stepping out of the steampunk too much. If you really are very inventive, go online and you can find people who've invented huge working gadgets. I've got, it's too big to show on the screen, but I have got my own backpack for the Steampunk Ghostbusters. I have put a photo up. So if you go and have a look, you'll see it on the celebratory site. I'll also put it underneath this so you can have a look at it properly. And it was made using some toys, those plasma ball toys. It was made using broken hair straightener. It was, you know, things like that. The only thing that limits you is your imagination. And like I said, it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money to be steampunk. Second-hand rosing is part of the aesthetic and is part of the culture. So if you've got any questions about gadgets, please feel free to step up and put them down. And if you have any gadgets that you want to share with us on the celebration of 30 years of the coining of the name Steampunk, please, we'd love to see them. We love gadgets. Personally, I love gadgets so much. So let's steampunk gadget everything. And I'll talk to you again later.